on the advanced management course. That was the last year of the dean of the school, the longest private school. Last year, he became a professor of economics in 57. His last year was 2001. And he took us on a course called the World Economy. And he went on and on. After 3 months, a day before the last day, being a professor from 57 to 2001. You can imagine the number of followers that has taught all the CEOs, McDonald's. The day before the last day, instead of teaching us normal business, it was in the auditorium, everybody was there. And I raised my hand. I said, Prof, you've taken us to world economy, but you never said anything about Africa. He said, Peter, I don't know about Africa. I said, yes, Prof. I paid 14,000. And you've spoken about every other place apart from my continent. He said, I'll tell you tomorrow. The last day. On the last day, he came again, spoke very well. The whole place was. And he looked at me and said, Peter, do you want to know about the world economy? I said, yes. You want to know about Africa? I said, yes. He said, nobody plans in Africa. 2001. See, have I ever seen a car called African Spec? No. 2001. He said, there's no car called African Spec. When car manufacturers are dealing, all the big car manufacturers, you see European spec, Asian spec, Gulf spec, American spec, but there's nothing called African spec. That means nobody plans with Africa. I went on and asked me a question. Do you have in your country 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years plus? No. Do you think I can answer no? No, you can't answer no in that second. I said yes. I don't have it. I don't know it, but I can't answer no. I said yes. He said he would like to have it. But he asked me to join him for lunch. And I joined Professor Donald Jacob for lunch. And after lunch, if you know Kellogg very well, he's on the back of Lake Michigan. The school is here, the lake is behind. So you usually walk around the beach of the lake. Some of my second, that's why I'm a Kellogg scholar, because I've done about 4 main courses in Kellogg. You have to do 3-4 courses to become a Kellogg scholar. It's special alumni group. So he said to me, let's take a walk back of the country. As we're taking a walk, he asked me, do you have any of your country's coins? The biggest denomination there is 100 naira. That was the biggest denomination in 2001. There's no 500, there's no 1,000. So I brought 100 naira cards. Donald Jacob brought out $100. And he said, which of the 2 currencies do you prefer? Exchange rate was 100 naira to $1. So what do you think I'll say? And I told him I prefer the dollar. And he asked me why, and I said because of the rate of exchange. And so he said I should keep his dollar. We keep my naira. We took another walk, like a pole, and he stopped again and asked me, Peter, can I bring back the money? I don't know. Tell me, why do you prefer this currency to this one? And I told him the same story again. Because of the recognition. And he said, let's sit down on the bench. And we said that. And he said to me, the only reason why you prefer another country's currency to your currency is because you don't have faith in the country. I've taught economy for 50-something years. Economy is driven by faith, and what drives the faith is hope. The government gives you. There's no, you don't have faith because there's no hope. It's not the rate. Chinese people keep their money in Chinese yuan. Singaporean dollar. Malaysians bring it. There was no euro there. Germans keep it in marks, British in pounds, Americans in dollars, Italians in lira. We've been with you here for 3 months. Can I ask you for a favor? Because the cost is more of interactive. If you know how to do most of the senior major courses in business school, the high-end courses, it's more of interactive. Say, can I ask you for a favor? He first asked me, and I said yes. Are you want this amount? I said yes. Are you want this amount? He got to a stage, he said, Peter, you made enough money that you can afford to buy food and eat well. I live the rest of my life, maybe don't make me money. You might not be flying private jets and everybody can live the rest of the life. Can I ask you for a favor? And I said, go back to your country and participate in building public wealth. Public wealth enriches everybody. Individual wealth impoverishes everybody. The problem in your country is that people are pursuing individual wealth and everybody's poor. But if you pursue public wealth, everybody will be rich. If you can do it, you will find fulfillment. That was the last. I saw Ronald Jacob was the last. I saw him just after being governor before he died. Because I had to go back and tell him to pursue public wealth. Well, when I got back, series of things happened. I went to where I live, so many things happened. But what was most instructive that schools, if you know Anambra State, somebody who was senior prefect, I'm sure. Even Anambra State in 2001, 2002, the schools were shut down in Anambra State, and nobody went to school for 1 day.
About 15 months.
Thank you. And I said to myself, with that background of what was happening, we were going to do a major investment where there's about 6 of us. This is the investment everybody knows, even people in Nigeria know about this. We were going to put in about $5 million. And I got home and I said to my wife, I'm not going to invest in China. I'm going back to my village to go and be governor. You can imagine the shock, the pain. My wife looked at me and said, have you done politics before? What are you talking? What are you saying? What happened? Oh my God, this is the I've had enough. I'm going to see whatever brought us this low, I'm going to fight it. Yes, I understand, but I called those people who came to me and said, I'm going to come and contest. Of course, I was the youngest chairman ever to today with my bank in Nigeria. You can imagine my wife went to the then chairman of Diamond Bank, chairman of Continental Bank, this guy all the black Colombo. And those days, they all this one. Please, you don't know what will become of people. You can never don't put this. I said, well, I didn't have a house in my village. So where are you going to live? What are you going to do? I said, I'm going to build a house. I'm going to live with my mother so that on Fridays. After I packed my suitcase, I went to my village. The rest is this. I stayed there for 2 years. Campaigning until that election. The rest you know, I won. They declared somebody else. I went to court. Everybody said it's madness. I stayed in court for around 3 years. And became the first person to ever be declared from court. Again, started because of what I was going to do, not do. I got impeached. You know, I was removed from office twice. You know, again because of so much. So why did I give you this background? It was all not easy. But at every junction, which is what I tell people, I ask myself, what next to do? What next do I need to do? I'm the father of 2 kids, 2 of them are graduates, 2 of them are working, you know, doing well. I won't say 2 of them are doing well. My son is definitely doing exceptionally well. My daughter is I would say the church. Maybe her prayers is what is keeping me. I have a daughter that prays far more than me. I believes in God far more than me. So what I'm saying is I have 2 healthy people who are happy with themselves. My life is happy and everything. And then something that will surprise you. I agree something with Benga. This I wanted to be quiet. I agreed that with Benga that I'm going to come here. When I agreed with Benga that I'm going to come here, today is my wife's birthday. And she said to me, somebody knew. And she said to me, well, Peter will plan dinner this evening, you forgot, and I said, yes, but you have to be in Cambridge. You eat dinner on your behalf. When I come back, I'll say thank you. But these people, we're talking about Nigeria. The other one is dinner. Just go. You, just everybody, go and eat that dinner. I want to eat the one they cook in Cambridge. But, so when I was coming, someone said, Peter, only you can do this. And it's not me saying I said, we are talking about the collapsing place, we're talking about great things. So he said, Peter, only you can say this. I said, but what am I trying to say? Each time I see every reason to say, I want to get involved in this, people say to me, oh, Peter, be careful. These people will kill you. These people will do this. These people there. These people are there. What else is there to live for? What else? If we cannot go around every single day, we feel a sense of pain. What is happening here? Why should we be like this? You look at the enormity of the resources, human resources, that can change the world. Looking at you, looking at the enormity of the space that can feed the world, and you ask yourself, why can't we change it? Just like I told people when I came to Anambra State, we were number 26, 27 in Wayaka Neko. I said, no, I won't take it. Whether within number 5 or we shut down the schools. We didn't change anything, but it happened. But like I said, I'm going to make a speech when I conclude. I want us to feel free. Ask any question, criticize me wherever, but let us go with interactions and questions so that when we conclude, we will spend with them a useful night. You know, even those who are not from the university, this is the university community, and I expect serious interactions. We didn't. I'm sure some of you must have watched what happened in the Columbia in the university. That's what I want to see. So I want us to say, people get up and say, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? And we take it from there. So this is just my introduction to tell you who I am. Do not look at the qualification introduction. This is my introduction. This is my journey of politics. I'm not a politician. What I'm going to do this time is telling you people, same experience. Don't stand don't. Be involved. Get involved. You have one thing to offer. You might not be a voter, but you know somebody who can vote. Not look, your country is in a mess. If you get it wrong in 2003, forget it. That's where we are. So thank you for this long introduction. I know you said there were written questions, which...
So the structure we had some questions in advance with the theme, and after that we had a written question, which we'll follow after that. So my colleague, you can have a seat.
No, let's sit down.
Sorry, we still will have a couple of 2 questions from those watching online.
Online, fantastic.
Yes. No, let's leave online and give it to you.
We'll take it from Cambridge University, very smart gentleman, I'm sure he'll do justice.
I'm ready for you.
Okay, yeah, so you're just sitting down, so there's no argument why.
No.
It's really nice to have you here. We're really, really grateful. You can only imagine what your calendar looks like. For you to find some time to squeeze in to come and talk to us is really, really easy. And when we now heard what today is, it's not just finding some wiggle room. I think people can hear me. Okay. Sorry. So finding some wiggle room with on a day like this that's so personal to you makes this meeting even more personal to us. So we're very grateful. As Bernard said, my name is Stephen. I study terrorism, conflict, violence in this. Department of Land Economy. So we have 3 questions on the theme. The first question is this. We don't want to go down the sad lane of all the numbers, all the technical numbers, because the numbers just makes everybody sad. We know the debt gap that we have in our country right now. We are borrowing profusely, and we are still borrowing as the debt is rising. The question is this: how do you intend to engage this problem? What do you think can be done? What is the economic remediation strategy to this kind of situation? And what is the political angle? Because basic development economic theory states that when you have things like this, the angle most of the time is to go from the angle of a political angle and an economic angle. But if there's a strategy, how do you think this can be engaged? Boring. Yeah. How do we make the bleeding stop? How do we close the gap? Because we've already bought, the deed is done. We already have, we're in negative debt right now. Our foreign reserves are gone. How do we manage what is happening? And how do we bring it back? Oh, you want me to pile on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The second question leads up from the first one. When we finally have a strategy, if there's a strategy, and we want to implement this strategy, development theory also states that there will be resistance. How do we manage the resistance from sectors, people, forces, agencies that don't want it to stop? How do we deal with that kind of resistance? Because we're having a very complex orchestrated system of development regression, and it's there, and there are people and there are forces that are actually managing this trajectory, the negative trajectory. If we're going to have a strategy to fix it, there will obviously be resistance. How do we handle this resistance? Number three, when we finally handle the resistance and we finally get it working, how do we make sure that this is actually sustainable? How do we sustain it across regimes? How do we make it in such a way that it's not a pendulum? Okay. That when somebody gets there, it's fixed and he leaves, and then we go back and we keep pressing Ctrl Z and Ctrl Y. How do we make it work? Those are the three questions.
Number one, there's nothing wrong with borrowing. Every nation of the world borrows money. Everybody. We are here in the UK. I don't know the exact figures because I shouldn't go through. But I can tell you, their debt to GDP will not be less than 70% of their GDP. So is it everywhere in the West. Like I told you people in America, their debt to GDP in America is over 80%.
81.
81.
So, America is the biggest economy, a 23 trillion, 24 trillion economy. Debt to GDP is 80%. The second biggest economy is China, about 60% debt to GDP. So everybody's going. The third biggest country is Japan, 230% to GDP. 230% to GDP. I can go on and on. Even Norway, that have the highest amount of sovereign wealth fund, their debt to GDP is about 50%. Everybody's borrowing. So there's nothing wrong with borrowing. What is wrong is what you use the money you borrowed from. That's the problem. If you borrow for consumption, that's a problem. If you borrow for investment, then it works. And people often cite Singapore. Singapore debt to GDP is about 120, 130%. But if you go and read the constitution of Singapore, it says all borrowed funds is for investment. If you look at Japan, that is owing 230% of the GDP, everybody knew what they used the money for. When they had economic problem and they wanted to keep the economy going, that's when they borrowed the money. And today, Japan still owes the highest amount of US treasuries. What does it mean? She's owing, she's owing, she's owing, she's owing. But if I go to her and say, I want my money, she has a plan. Because she has invested the money and she has some treasuries which she will pay. And I say, I want my money. He started telling me, oh, he lost the father. Oh, my uncle jumped into well. That's not the story they want to hear. When they give the money out, snake came in the house. That's not the story. The story is that is the challenge you face. Countries after countries borrow money to solve their problem. And I'll give you simplest example I use every day, so that I don't bore you with too much example. And I'm not the only one. I don't like people comparing Nigeria and First World. Because some people go, oh, in Britain, I lived there for 10 years. You never see me comparing with Nigeria. Oh, in America, you never see me comparing with America. I want to always compare third world to third world. So since we are television, let's know how we become in television. Let's not go to Premier League. Compare Premier League. Let's not compare, say, Chelsea with Cambridge.
Let it evolve.
Let's compare Cambridge United. No. I can't say that. No. You compare Cambridge United with let's
Maybe Reading FC.
So, what am I trying to say? If you go and compare Nigeria with, say, Bangladesh, Nigeria is 200. Only just 200. Bangladesh is 165 million. Huge population. I was in Bangladesh in 2010. In 2010, Nigerian GDP was $375 billion, and per capita was 2,250. Our debt was 10% to our GDP. About that, what they talked about 30 billion or something billion. What was our debt? 2010. So we were better. Bangladesh GDP as at that time was about 115 billion. Their per capita precisely is $747. Their debt was 45 billion, so they were owing 30-something% of their debt to GDP. We and Bangladesh were in the same ratio in HDI in 2000, similarly in 2010. Today, Bangladesh, Nigerian GDP is about 400 billion. Our per capita is 1,980 2000. So it lost about 12% of your per capita, which is the real measure of wealth. And your debt has increased from about 35 billion to over $100 billion without impacting on anything. Bangladesh GDP has increased to 300 and something billion, about 330, 340 billion. So they tripled their GDP. Bangladesh per capita is now 2,000, about 2,050, 2,100. So they tripled their per capita. And their debt has increased to about 110. So their debt is now about 32% of their GDP. It has actually lowered because their GDP have grown. That is what investment of the debt does to you. So Bangladesh has become a country that moved. As at that 2010, our diaspora remittances was almost to West Bangladesh. Today, they've actually about surpassed us. What just using diaspora remittances, what did they do? They educated them. The more money you put in education, human capital, the better income. Because they have people that they export. So there's nothing wrong with moving. I just want to establish that. How do we stop it? Because where we are now, we're in the nest. It don't happen, so we must go. But this is time to say, What is that? Saving. You must not borrow. And if you're hungry, just buy one. When every money we borrow now, we must invest it. That's the first thing. We're no longer going to borrow for consumption. Anything you like, do. How you eat, I don't want to know. What happens, I don't want to know, because this investment borrowing must go into investment. Must be productive. You now have to reverse the country from consumption to production. Because it's not a producing country. It's critical. That is where we start. That is the first thing we need to do. When you have this type of mess, you stop. In this 2007, 17, I argued about it. When somebody said we will spend our way out of recession. I said, you're wrong. Western world can say that. Not a third world country. What you do when you're in recession is what you do when you're in difficulty. The first thing you do is you cut your expenses. You cannot continue to live the same style. You've got to go home and tell your children and wife, no longer are we going to eat out. Sorry. Sorry. But I'm going to tell madam, see how things are bad. Things have to move forward. So you now have to go home and tell madam, you must cook. Things have changed. No more eating in the restaurant. We can no longer do this. It happened to me as a governor. When I became governor, the office of the governor was spending about 30-something% of our budget. And I said to them, no, it has to stop. Because we were spending, we're not giving education, which was my priority, the money required. I said, we have to change it. The office of the governor, by the time we did our planning, supported it with our budget and everything, the office of the governor could only secure less than 5% of the votes from 30-something. And everybody was shouting and saying, Governor, you can't cope. Governor, you cannot do this. Oh, I said, no, I can cope. Just watch what I'm going to do. We're going to shut everything down. And we started shutting everything down. Everything. The whole place was, that was even the reason why I was a beach, which I'm passing. Everybody was like, you can't, this cannot happen. This cannot, no, it's not possible. Why must this happen? Why must this happen? But today, I can tell you, I say this everywhere I've spoken. My head of service was one of the best human beings you can have. A wonderful lady, wonderful woman, and a senior sister, somebody who took me like her own. She would always run into my office and say, my young brother, please, people are not happy. Nobody's happy with you. Please, just, oh, this, I didn't know what to do. You won't understand. You won't understand. And I'll say, sister, don't worry. Don't worry. He said, no, but I don't like the fact that I go out of here. Everybody's calling me but me. Everybody has said, don't worry. And I'll pop my phone so I can show you something which you read out. My head of service will eventually publish a book. You know, she will eventually publish a book. She wrote something, I said to her, you won't publish it in the newspaper. Though that when I went to New York, her sister told me that he shared a publication with her. But he said that I said he shouldn't put it in the newspaper. I said yes, because I didn't like whereas I will show you. So, what am I trying to say? I just show you, just read the caption, and even if you don't read whole thing, people can see just the heading of it, what the story is all about. So today, I go around, I go down. The same person who said to me yesterday, oh no, I can't live with this. This is it here. See, he will eventually publish it. Look at it, let me show you her name. Says, Honorable Barrister Melifon, former head of service to the government of Anambra State, under Anambra State, Peter Obi.
24 June 2022.
No, this 24 June is when he wrote it, but read the capital.
Mr. Peter Obi, stinginess as a development strategy.
She used to shout and everything. And then, when I started settling the bills, paying pension, they were old, gratuity, everything, everybody was like, where did he get the money from? I said, it's the money he saved from all those things that were quarreling with. My DC never went to Abuja with me. And people say, hey, it's like I tell you, if I want to come to Cambridge today, I can tell you, there might be 30, 40 people who wants to go with me. Yes, what are they going to do in Cambridge? It's only me people who want to see. So I'm invited to meet in Abuja. 30 people want to go with me. Nobody invited. Nobody invited. They have no reason to be in Abuja. They follow me, use public money, pay for them to do the construct. No, sorry, traveling public. And what have been used in Abuja?
Exactly.
Thank you. Transport.
So I come back, I have 10 million for visiting Abuja. Because I went for people who was nobody invited for the meeting. So we had a lodge in Abuja. The governor of Anambra State in Abuja. And I said, why don't we have that problem in Abuja? My predecessor supported for 1 billion naira. And it was causing up to something to keep it every month. I said, why are we going to have lodge in Abuja? I don't live there. If I go to Abuja, they give me 50,000, 100,000 naira to cook. Last cup is 5,000. Well, he said he cooks in case he can come back with people. Who does that? It's only hotel that cooks in case people come and come. So we shut it down. That's the first thing you do when you have a problem. They shut down your expenses. Yeah. They have big office called office. Yes. Somebody, nobody voted. And he asks people, advice on this, what did I advise?
How to look good.
And how to come follow. So he moves around, creating confusion all over the place.
Slapping people.
Because she has no job. So what she does in the morning is they run around all over the place. And that is that now. In America, actually, have you ever seen office? If anyone tells you, I'm so close to my wife that you won't believe it. We're very close. He's the last person who came with Wednesday, Daniel who came with me. I came with my actually it's my wife that opened the door. My wife was the last person that said bye to now. If I go. So and then she said she's going to have a person. She never campaigned. Nobody protected her. No, nobody even knew her brother campaign. Just like my even happens here. She's just there. She will even tell you, I can't do this your business. You know? Even if I go come back now, I want to say, Peter, I know you come back. Don't this is my food I'm going to enjoy. Don't bring GDP inside. Because I can tell you, I can do all these things though, but you know women. She doesn't do, I do. She wants to enjoy the little things. She says, no, Peter. Carry your GDP. Me, I want I trying to say? These are where you start. You share your weight. You do things properly. That's what you do. You don't go and start living the same lifestyle on a borrowed money. That's it. British side Prime Minister goes to Nigeria. He comes in a British way. The German Chancellor comes in Lufthansa. Then who is owing? Stephen wants to come to London. No, he comes in a full 37,
to be there.
So that's where you start. Number two, the people who resist it. Yes, they will resist it. That is the main purpose. That's why they say that have no structure. Haven't they heard it before? It is the structure
To share money.
that kept us here. It is structural corruption, structural criminality, structure that is what I want to dismantle. It must go because that's the structure that made us not to generate more than 4,000 megawatts in 20 years. So that structure must go.
Yes, sure.
So that's what I find this. Go to another state, no elite. What's happening with me for 8 years? And that's if I can tell you, I know that one very well. Because I come to Abuja. Every big man I see, and there's something wrong. And I said, sir, what is it? Nobody's happy with you. Move, you start calling on. I never promised anybody happiness.
You're
And
not
I can tell you,
you're not a comedian.
I can tell everybody, you're not going to be no individual will be happy. Collectively, the country will be happy. But I'm not there to please anyone. So I never promise anybody happiness. Besides, my job is not to make people happy. I have different jobs. I'm a comedian, so I'm musician. If David or Flavor comes here, will he be talking to you like this? No. He's not coming to talk about GDP. He's coming for entertainment. So you're coming there knowing it's a happy time. Yeah, when I was in Cambridge, we have happy hour.
Yeah.
So when happy hour comes, it's no longer lecture. There might be people who job is so independent. So we have to divide a role. So I had lots of things. Oh, you're the only governor without surface with you. And I said to my business, you have enough confusion in the state. To add that one will be too much. And it's not affecting us. And I have the greatest number of women working in any other state. My chief of staff is a woman, secretary, my permanent secretary in my office is a woman, head of service woman, commissioner of finance woman, education, local government. I can go on and on. All women know. I'm very serious among all of them. They're very, very serious. My chief of staff is one of the best person who can walk on the surface of the earth. And she can't take anything. She doesn't care. Governor, you're wrong. You can't do it. Not as the chief. I will even argue with them. I say, you can't understand I'm the governor. Because I told them from day one, if you people agree with me in 3 meetings, I'll sack everybody. I know that I'm working alone. I want to hear bad news always, not good news. Because I'm the leader. So your job is to always correct me. Your job is to always say to me, you're wrong. Right? And they took it personal. And they will remain well for the state. And that's why I will arrive at what we achieve. So we will drag them, yelling and crying. They will not be happy. But we're going to try. because we need to change things. How do we make it sustainable? It's the people. When the people tell me about building institutions, that's why I went to all these schools, like your school, to learn where there's any other thing. Institutions are built by people. Who removes Boris Johnson? There's no law that said you went to party, you go. There's no law. It's not written anywhere. And I can tell you, if it was in Nigeria, we would have had more parties. Those who didn't attend the last one, not for the next one. You would have been the story. It's the people that said no. Jeffrey Archer was a famous person, Tory chairman. You know what it means to be a Tory chairman? Huge post, like chairman of APC. What is the difference? Which is very wrong. The only thing I did that was wrong was he said, I did not. And the prosecutor came out and said, he lied. What happened? So the party said, they can no longer be our chairman. The queen, tonight, is no longer as a society. So sustenance of anything is the people. Peter have congregated today to preach to you, to talk to you, and we spend hours talking. Peter becomes president tomorrow. He comes back to Cambridge. Then Ghana calls me and says, oh Ghana, there's this bit. If I show you where people buy new houses here, it's wonderful. Johnson has bought his own, Mike has bought his own, that's where this person lives. That's where nobody talks anything. So I go to buy my own. Then I call him. What's the name? Pastor Sani. I want you to come and bless his house. I want you to come and bless his house on a Sunday. And invite the whole of the community. Everybody come. Everybody. You know, completely. I mean, Pastor is saying whoever that God has blessed him, you know, I know you are going to be rich. Wherever you go this morning, then continue to do that. In fact, you find another. Everybody's happy. When you open the door, call police. Because you know where people money is from. He didn't have house. And then I tell you, oh, I was rich before I became president. I just wanted to buy a house in Reading, in Birmingham, in this, and everybody.
But he didn't buy it.
Show me. These are things that is a bit. So institutions are built by people. Institutions are sustained by people. And that's what I tell people. I'm not campaigning to be president of Nigeria. I want us to take back Nigeria for Nigerians and everybody to come behind what we're doing to resist that change. And how do you resist it? You hire people who are choosing to be the managing director of this country called Nigeria. All of you should be courageous enough that when Peter starts running this company in the right direction, to say, we had a pilot yesterday. On Tuesday, on Wednesday, I was in Geneva. There was a storm over Europe. The pilot said, we were delayed for 2 hours. And we eventually took off. The pilot said it's going to be bad. So everybody knew. The pilot said because of this, the flight is going to be delayed. So a flight that is supposed to take us an hour 30 minutes took over 2 hours 30 minutes. And it was. But I asked somebody who was in the plane with me, I said, why do you think we're not feeling we are gone here? With all this thing? Why do you think we're not? Huh?
You have an experience by
Huh?
You have an experience by
Because of
Nigeria.
we were sure that the man inside there is a pilot. It was the man there is qualified. What happens in Nigeria is that we hire somebody who is incompetent, who is not this, and suddenly he tells us, oh, what I saw when I came in. Oh, listen to him, what did you see? So if you see something wrong, you should ask him, come on. Let somebody who will see what we want you to see. Enter. The job of the leader is not to complain. It's to provide solutions. Not to complain. Telling us that what the last people did. If the last people were doing well, we won't hire you. We hired you because this company was collapsing. That's why I was not stealing. Don't start telling us what Benga did. What Benga did. If Benga was doing good, we won't hire you. So, that's the third question.
It's not a time, but we have some questions already.
Okay. We'll be faster now, so we can learn. And then because Steve was my man for this terrorism business. I didn't even, so don't go too far. We're going to be in the trenches, so. So go on. The next question.
So,
I still on.
No, the written question.
Go on, okay, go on. Very fast now.
Okay, so the first auxiliary question is this. The Nigerian education system is not where we all want it to be.
Yes.
And
That one is a done deal.
down from the tertiary sector down to across the entire sector of education. How do we handle this?
Okay.
Simple.
Next one.
The written question.
Okay. Someone wants to know what you will do if you come in power in the first 100 days.
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll get to them.
Somebody else wants to know what your strategy is for infrastructural development.
For
Infrastructural development. Okay, so this is under education as well. Somebody wants to know how
okay, let me, I'll just take care of them. One, the program that I told you is not a program of 100 days. 100 days doesn't exist. Let nobody tell you that Peter B is going to tell you what he's going to do in 100 days. 100 days, you're still dealing with it. 100 days, you're still dealing with the principalities that. But let me assure you that from day one, I hit the ground running because I'm getting prepared for them. If I want to take this, but I don't want to go back to that type of question. When people say, what is your priority? Not priority for instruction. What is your priority if you come into office, number one is that you have to deal with the issue of security.
Yes.
People's security is affecting everything you want to do. Because unless it's the first fundamental job of government to secure life and property. Because people have to sleep and wake up to be able to invest, to live in that society, to even attract investors. It's the only thing that drives away people today. One of the worst things that is affecting you as a nation is inflation and security at the heart of it, because farmers can no longer go to farm and food have increased. And food inflation is one of the worst type of inflations you can face. Now people use 100%, more than 100% of their income to feed in Nigeria, not even to do anything. So you need to deal with that very quickly, decisively. People can ask me how, and everything will be rest assured. It will be precise, decisive, that's no going back. You deal with that. Number two is to deal with the issue of lawlessness. You hear every day people telling police brutality, this, that, that. Police behave the same way the politicians behave. It is a reflection. You cannot, people who work for you cannot behave opposite of what you do. Rascality and bad behavior have become a measure of success. Power.
Quote unquote.
So if I come here and people are being pushed, slapped, everything, then big man have come. You know, I just told him the story when I came. I said, when I came, of course, it was me. Meeting him for the first time today, and I've been talking to him. I called him to apologize that I was going late when I was leaving London. I said, Mr. Wenger, please, I'm going to come late. I'm going to be there for 6:30. You said 6 o'clock. I said, but Wenger, what is going to be 6 o'clock? He said, no, you wrote 6 for 6:30. I want to come by 6. But it is better I wait for them and they wait for me. And when I came, I met him and I told him that the things we have done wrongly, we must start correcting them. If we say 6, if we want, we can change it to 8. But if we say 6, and if you're not going to come by 6, please let us know why you will not come by 6. And I told him, I will let hold up at M25. It doesn't cost you anything. And when I came, I told him, this is what he said, no problem. I said, there's a problem. Because we have a time. So that's what happened to me when I was governor. Somebody invites me to a place, say, 12 noon prompt. They need prompt. And I arrived at 12 and said, hey, governor, we're expecting you by 4. What do you think you're doing? He said, oh, that's what we wrote for visitors so they can come before you come. I said, you would have told me 4 p.m.
Prompt.
So I come by 4 p.m. You tell the very yes, whatever you want to tell me. But don't tell me, listen, oh, you come to church, you come to occasion late. Not come. Don't go. They say, no, government can't stay there. They got your chair in front. I know my chair was in front, and I know it. And I called the priest to say, I'm going to come late. Why would you keep the chair in the stomach for somebody who comes late? It's not showing a good example. And you call him his excellence. Excellence means an excellent person. They will leave late. They should not come late. These are simple things that makes a society. The educational set that drives the society. Behavior. So, in my 8 years of being governor, Nobody ever pushed anybody. Who was the senior prefect? Thank you. Did you come to government at all? Did you come to my office at all? Thank you. And it's not only him. So there's no need, I don't need to start pushing, oh, it was it? They know what they were doing that time. I recall one, my protocol officers. I had a school visit to go. I visited every secondary school in the state. On a day I went to, and he said, a big man was wearing the third wife. And he wrote it there, he would like school visit to represent. This big man's marriage, governor president. I said, let me ask you a question. This man who's president, he has actually had to, and came to talk about, and that's what he wrote that is more important to me than education that I swore to improve, to go and support this man who, as far as I'm concerned, should not. Let me just leave it at that. So, what are you encouraging? Because that's where, hey, saw that, hey, everybody will be there. I said, is that what I'm elected to go where everybody is? He said, but our guy's school now, commissioner is there. Listen, when I go to school, like him, he had a written letter from me, he has seen me, I have spoken to him, and everything. That motivation is far more important than go to where people are doing the same thing and saying consumption. So, that is where we work. We're going to drive the process. What was your last question?
Education.
I've said about education. Let me tell you about education. Very simple. The more you invest in education, the better the development of your economy. One of the things Nigeria is lacking today is human capital. And again, that's what people say, what did the P2B achieve in Anambra State? I said, I was number one in education, I was number one in health, I was number one in MDG. All the three things that makes development, I was number one. This is very structured. Let me tell you, when I went to Bangladesh in early this decade, when I went to China in the 90s, follow China aggressively. Vietnam, these countries have no infrastructure. What did they do first?
Education.
They invested in human infrastructure. You can't do physical infrastructure without building human infrastructure. Because this one will drive this one. So you don't go and start. So you come to Abuja, they build 12 stories. No power, no lift. Everything is broken down. Because you've not done the right thing. If you have done the right thing by having the human infrastructure that will generate power, that will fix the lift, that will fix this thing. So whenever I go to Abuja, anytime they put me in a hotel, 50 story, I say, no, you have room. I say, no. Because often the time is broken down. So it's easier for me to come back. So that's where education is the most critical thing. What drives this place?
Education.
The intangible assets, which is security. Law, rule of law. You're sure that if you pay somebody for land, he doesn't get the land, you go sue somebody, you call police. If the man, if I'm the husband and I slap her, she will call police. I know that police will come. Huh? If I do it in Nigeria, because I'm the big man, when it comes, so, okay, what is it that man is? I said, this woman, if I tell you, if I tell, okay, last time I saw that woman, the way you look. Yes, the police said they invited you. He's telling you, that woman, how can you, he said, okay, you are too gentle for this. And you're wondering, What about? He hasn't even asked what happened. Right? That's the person you pay for land, they say, because he has money, police is arresting you for even buying land. You become the victim. You know, you're carrying a laptop. Why are you carrying a laptop? Right? So, it's a crisis situation. Let's go. Almost.
Neglected the roads, which is one of the issues we have in Nigeria. It's like a business. I don't know. Sorry, I didn't go there.
Go on.
Sorry, okay, I'm sorry because I'm very sure you neglected one. Okay. And when we talk about roads, building roads will definitely help logistics. And investors will know that even if they have to run from kidnappers, which I know you tried to deal with, the roads are good enough for them. So if you can address that.
No, she didn't know. No, 1 minute. Let me get you.
I'm sure he didn't build our own side, Oka South.
Hey, whoa.
Let me tell you now. Let me. No, let me just ask you any question. Let me say this. I want to award as the state with the best road in the world. Put me anywhere. Nobody has better road than me. Let me tell you what I didn't do. So you will understand. We did a study. We decided to work with what we call the MDG. When I became governor, we didn't have Ministry of Planning. No Ministry of Planning. And I asked them, and I called people in charge of education. Where is the education plan? What is our vision as a state? Where is the education plan? No. Where is our health plan? No. Where is the plan? So how do we work here? There was no one. So there and there, within 1 week I became governor, I decided to put in Ministry of Planning. That's how we had Ministry of Planning. And took Obiano's deputy governor, Nkemo Keke, who was then the head of Department of Economics. I took her, he was the first commissioner of planning ever in Anambra State. Said, come. And I decided, what would be our vision as a state? Because we didn't have any, we saw something that was very easy. Nigeria was a signatory to Millennium Development Goals, which if we had followed, would have been where China is. So we said, we don't need to go and start scratching our brain, just like what I said today. If you want to change Nigeria today, you don't need to kill yourself. Just do the simple things. You're not going to do anything new. Just do what other people are doing. So we borrowed that Millennium Development Goals and said, these 8 goals are what we will pursue. This is our vision. So what is our strategy for delivery of this vision? That's what we developed and called Anambra State Integrated Development Strategy. And it's everybody who was in Anambra State knows. It's something everybody knows. That is became simple thing. It's a process that allows us to plan properly with the people. We moved our planning from being supply driven to demand driven. Because they're about the people. So plan with them, budget to deliver the plan, execute the plan, and supervise it. If you read MDG goals, the first goal is to fight extreme poverty.
Yeah.
So Anambra State, today you can go and check the record of statistics, is the first state to do statistical report of poverty in Nigeria. We want to know areas of the state that is poor and why they are poor. Number 2 is education. Number 3 is health. When we did the studies of poverty, we found out that the following state local governments are poor. A place called Ayamelu, a place called Anambra West, Obaru, Oka North, not Oka South.
Yeah.
Oka North. Because all both family and co. When we studied all these, they have a common thing that is there. They were all farmers, but they were poor. But why are they poor? They have no access. There was no road to them. Like Anambra West, there was no bridge, there was no access. By building road to them, that increased the value of the agricultural product. So what I did was, which is what China never, leave the state. We don't need, we're not looking for anything. I live as the governor. My room, my house is 2-bedroom place. My office is functional. It will need a functional place. So if you go, we need a 43 kilometers of road in Ireland. Anambra West, where no single kilometer of road has passed. You go there, you see road. Started building road there. Started building our canal from to above family, where road I've never gone before. Started building to this and everything, and to every. Where are you from? What kind of south? You. No, who else? You are next to my town now, so you can see. No. Just let you know. Just let you know. You are next to my town.
No.
You are next to my town, and I can tell you, there were already roads that passed through there. Even my successor, my predecessor, even built a road that passed through Boku.
No, Ngige built, you know, the erection.
Understand what I'm saying? So I can tell you, no, it's important that I explain it.
Yeah.
So for me, that is how to look at it. It's like what I said now. The strategy is to there was what we're doing, and to shock you, we started implementing MDG in the year 2008. 2008. Amina Mohammed, who is now the Deputy Secretary General, was in charge of MDG. MDG was signed by the Nigerian government in year 2000. It ended in year 2015. I started implementing it because I became governor in 2006. Started implementing it in 2008. By the time we finished in 2015, Anambra State was #1. I had to even give a lecture what I did in the United Nations. And this is what I'm saying about development in our place. A development, the reason why we've not fared well is that you see the trust have done taken over. He will say what she will do and what he wants to drive the vehicle to. And everybody will follow. So when in 2-3 years they can say, you say this, you say this. In our own place, that like I told you, when I came, there was no plan. So if you don't know where you're going, every road will lead you there. You know? So people are clashing. So if I'm going out, I'm going to London. If I say that, I'm not